¿Qué pasó, güey? It's your homeboy Quetzalcoatl hitting you up with another video. Errol Spence defeats Kell Brook in the 11th round as Kell Brook takes a knee and he can no longer continue due to an eye injury. And what made this fight great was seeing the adjustments that Errol Spence was able to make as the fight progressed. Because in the beginning of the fight, things weren't looking all that great for Errol Spence. In fact, I had Kell Brook winning the first couple of rounds. And this was due to the fact that Errol Spence was just far too aggressive in the beginning of the fight, and he wasn't effective with that aggression. At least not how we're used to seeing them in previous fights. I thought that he was trying to make it a point that Kell Brook wasn't going to push him around in this fight, that he was going to be the stronger of the two, and he was just allowing Kell Brook to land some good right hands, and rather than stepping back and resetting, he would just continue to try to just bulldoze his way back in there. But a lot of that had to do with Errol Spence's inexperience in being in these type of fights. However, midway through the fight, Errol Spence settled down and you began to see those adjustments that I was talking about. Rather than be ultra aggressive, Errol Spence was still throwing in combination, but he would get inside, let his shots off, and then utilize his footwork, forcing Kell Brook to start being aggressive. And this allowed Errol Spence to get his timing down. He was more comfortable with the distance between him and Brook. And this is where you began to see the tide turn in Errol Spence's favor. And while Kell Brook fought bravely and he was still having success during these mid-rounds, I just didn't see him make the necessary adjustments to take back control of the fight. And in the 9th and 10th round, you really began to see the fatigue set in Kell Brook, as he wasn't throwing as much as he was in the earlier rounds, and he was getting caught with some big shots. He was getting rocked, as you could see him constantly holding, and he got rocked once again in that 10th round and got dropped. And at that point, I thought that the fight was over because it didn't really look like he had much left in him. But man, he showed tremendous heart because he started roaring back in that fight, and while he was still getting rocked, he was letting his fucking hands go. So I gotta give him props for that. However, the next round proved to be the end of the fight. In Kell Brook's previous fight, he ended up suffering an eye injury versus Triple G, and that injury was the reason why the fight was stopped. Once again, late in this fight versus Errol Spence, Kell Brook suffers an eye injury. He gets caught with a good combination at the 11th round. He steps back and he has to take a knee. You can see he's in pain as he's pawing at his eye, and that was basically the end of the fight. It's hard for me to question Kell Brook's heart and his decision to quit in that moment, because you saw the type of heart he displayed in the round before. So his eye must have really been fucked up for him to quit in that moment. And in Kell Brook's post-fight interview, he said that he lives to fight another day. If his eye injury was indeed that severe, then he possibly did save his career in that moment. However, it did appear that he could continue. And Kell Brook, he has the type of power to turn the fight around in one punch. So only time will tell whether his decision to quit in that moment is a decision that he will end up regretting. But congratulations to Errol Spence on this tremendous victory. This is how you make a statement in this sport. This was Spence's first big fight. He goes into the champion's home, beats the shit out of him, and takes his belt. Not only that, but he wants to fight Keith Thurman next. A lot of fighters, when they win a belt, they like to prolong their title reign by taking a lot of mandatories against subpar competition, but he wants to go right in there and fight the elite fighters of this division next. So, I mean, you got to give him props all the way around for this performance. He was able to make the adjustments later on in the fight after it was looking like things were not going to go his way early. Turns around and stops Brook. And I just can't wait to see who he's going to fight next. The welterweight division is stacked with elite fighters, so fight fans are in for a treat in the future. As far as Kell Brook, I hope that he completely heals from this injury, and I hope that these eye injuries don't become a reoccurring problem in his career, because he's a very entertaining fighter to watch. So we'll just see how he comes back physically and mentally. But if I were to give Kell Brook any advice, it would be stop coming out to that fucking song, man. Every time you play All the Lights, you get your motherfucking ass whooped, man. Change that shit up, dog. Play some Tupac come out to the uppercut, that'd be pretty cool, but stop it with that shit. I don't know if you got some kind of weird fetish and you like getting your ass whooped to that song, but you gotta retire that motherfucker. But let me know your thoughts. What did you think of this fight? Do you think Kell Brook can come back from this eye injury? Do you think that he could have continued in that moment? What about Errol Spence? What do you think of this victory? Who do you want to see him fight next? Let me know in the comments section. And as always, if you like this shit, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. This is your homeboy Quetzalcoatl, signing the fuck on out.